Everybody, welcome to the channel. Jay Gassy, the channel. I got Jordan back with me. I told you we were going to do a Justice League Snyder Cut review. Here it is on Jay Gassy, the channel. So,
spoilers. Spoilers.
Heavy spoilers ahead. Thank you, Jordan. Heavy spoilers ahead. So if you haven't watched the movie, please do not watch this yet. Still watch it, but don't watch it yet. Mm-hmm. So, we're going to get into this 4-hour long movie review thing. I mean, this isn't going to be 4 hours, but
could be. We could probably talk all day.
We could probably stretch it. Okay, so Jordan, at the beginning we had a list of people of the Justice League, and we put in order from least to greatest who we're most excited in seeing. So the movie has come out. Needless to say, I don't think your list is the same.
No, not even close.
In the same order. So let's go about this a little differently. Who were you the most impressed by in this movie? Let's go that way.
Okay, so most impressed. It was close, but I would still say Cyborg is probably number one for me.
Okay, so Cyborg. Let's talk about how dirty they did him in the first movie. Because this was something completely different.
Again, I remember talking about this in the preview that we did for this movie and likening him to Superman in
BVS.
Batman, BVS, in terms of just in the 2017 version of this Justice League. Cyborg just came across as really like mopey and depressed, but you never really understood why. I mean, it was alluded to that he didn't want to be Cyborg. He wanted to be Victor Stone, but that was it. There was no real explanation or like background. There was no understanding of his history and who he was before.
Yeah.
And not only do you see in this version his history, the fact that he's this really empathetic, caring individual who's just looking out for everybody else, and at the same time is really good at sports. He's really intelligent. And then eventually obviously it gets into the car accident that he and his mother are in.
Man, that was rough.
Yeah. And
seeing that was rough.
And how, obviously his mother had passed away from it, and he was close to death, and then his father used the mother box to keep him alive.
Yeah. And
he was created into Cyborg, or what we know as Cyborg. And so seeing that, you actually get an understanding of, okay, I understand why he's so upset.
Yeah.
Why he doesn't want to be this thing, this machine, right? Because he almost feels like he's a freak, and he feels like it almost takes away from his humanity and who he was as a person. But as the movie progresses, you actually see that no, the kind of the machine and the humanity can coexist, and actually creates a very well-rounded, not only character but superhero.
Yeah, of course.
Which in my eyes makes him so much better than he was portrayed in the 2017 version.
Well, it's almost like what they say about money, right? Like, the more money you have or the more power you have, it either amplifies your good or amplifies your bad. And it looks like these powers amplified his good, because you saw like what I really like from Cyborg is that his dad left that tape, and when he was explaining everything he could do, that was one of my favorite parts. But then after they addressed everything he could do, they addressed the precautions, right? I remember his dad saying the problem isn't doing these things, it's not doing these things, or not seeing something, right? And so when we saw him put that money into that lady's account, I was like, okay, these powers have amplified him in a good way. And that makes you love him more. We didn't see any of this in the first movie.
No.
So how can we care about anything that happens to him?
We can't.
Right?
We can't.
Yeah, we can't. So Cyborg, to me, was I was the second most impressed by Cyborg.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How about you? Who's next in terms of impressing you?
For me, it was the Flash.
Yes.
Yes. That's the Flash that I want to see.
Yes.
And like again, we spoke about in the preview, Flash is still typically a humorous character, even in the comic books.
Yeah.
So keeping it true to his character, he did have some lines in this movie that were meant to be humorous, but it wasn't like fake awkward humor like it was in 2017. He said things you kind of not necessarily laugh, but you're like, okay, I that's it, it kind of is funny, but it kind of is true to his character.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take away from the seriousness of this movie, and it still shows that he actually is fairly confident in who he is.
For sure.
But man, just the things that he can do in this movie compared to what they showed in 2017.
See, 2017, he was just fast.
Yeah,
That was it.
He was fast, but then he was also, scared. I've never done battle. All I've done is pushed people and ran away.
Yeah.
What kind of a line is that? You're throwing the character out in the the garbage.
I understand that they wanted to portray that he's no warrior, right? I understand that, and I understand literally in this universe he's just pushed people and run away. I get that, but in saying that line, you've kind of what's the word? You've kind of disintegrated everything that makes the Flash so powerful, right? Everything that makes him so powerful. In that one line, I just push people and run away. In my head, knowing the Flash, I can't even imagine for people who don't know the Flash, but in my head, knowing the character, I'm just like, then why am I watching you? Why are you with this team then?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And in this, he says, funny things happen to time when I approach the speed of light. And when he said that, I was like, I want to see that.
I want to see that.
Because this is something that no one in the league can even touch doing. Right?
Yeah.
And it just gives him more oomph as a character and more oomph within the squad of the Justice League.
Yeah.
I was so impressed with Flash.
Yeah. I mean, to me, and I had kind of mentioned this in some of my notes that we might get into a bit later, but I feel like the movie could probably be cut down a little bit. I think there are a few scenes that maybe don't necessarily have to be in there.
Yes, I agree.
And one of them, to me, I think is the scene where Barry saves Iris West.
Okay.
I just don't really think it absolutely needed to be in there. It didn't really further the plot in any way, and honestly, it was just kind of a weird scene, especially when he goes and caresses her head.
Right.
It was just strange.
Okay.
I understand that it was kind of an introduction to his powers. I get that, but we probably didn't need that. We would have got the introduction later on. But beyond that, again, when they were resurrecting Superman and you kind of got that small glimpse of time moving backwards as he was moving forward, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually when they're in Russia, they're stopping Steppenwolf, and the unity happens, and he literally basically I believe that he stepped into the Speed Force at that point in time.
Yeah.
In order to obviously not be destroyed along with the rest of the world at that point.
Yeah.
And then, he spoke to himself, hey, Barry, you've got to break the rule and you've got to do it now.
Yeah.
And then he basically summons the Speed Force and goes faster than the speed of light.
Right.
And as he's doing that, the world, or time is going backwards as he's moving forwards.
Yeah, you see everything
he's literally recreating the world as he's going. And that scene right there, it just gave me goosebumps. So I was
Bro,
like,
I'm getting goosebumps now.
Why was a scene like that ever cut from this movie?
In replacement of that, what we got was him rescuing the Russian family, and
Dostoevsky.
I could puke every time I hear it, right? Him rescuing the Russian family, and I believe it where Stephen Wolf was, he took out a few parademons, and that was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
That was it.
This one, they had an actual plan to follow. I gotta say, though, with Flash, I gotta disagree with the Iris scene when he rescues Iris from the car crash, because, like you said, that was an introduction to his powers. I'm pretty sure everyone in the league got, or everyone that we were introduced to in this movie got that, right?
Yeah.
So Cyborg got that with his dad explaining his powers, which was one of my favorite scenes. Wonder Woman, we already know. Aquaman, we already know. No, Aquaman, we got him rescuing that guy. When he comes out of the ocean, rescues that guy, throws him on the table in the bar, and he says it's on him, right? And then, first of all, Aquaman, did you see how long he chugged that whiskey? Fam, I was like, yo, if you weren't Aquaman, you'd pass out right there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you'd be dead from alcohol poisoning.
Exactly. This guy drinks a lot.
Yeah.
But, so that was, my point is that we got that with Aquaman and Cyborg, and so my view is like, I guess why not Flash? The way they could have done it, I mean, the guy picking up the sandwich in the truck, I mean, that could have been better.
Yeah.
But I do like that it showed exactly how fast this guy broke out of his shoes. He touched the glass, and after he was done rescuing her, the glass fell.
Was still shattering,
right? The guy grabs a damn hot dog for the dogs in the place he's about to apply to, right? Moves her hair out of her eyes, takes a good look at the good-looking woman that just checked him out, right? He had time to do all this in the midst of a car crash, which lasts like 2 seconds. That had me understanding, okay, this guy's not just fast, he's like he says, fast is an oversimplification, right? So I had no problem with that scene, but to each his own.
Yeah.
All right. So next, who impressed you? Who impressed you after Flash?
Then it was Batman for me.
Batman. Okay.
The action that he actually was in this movie was vastly superior to what we saw in the 2017 version. When I think back to 2017, we only ever really see him taking on like one parademon at a time.
Yeah.
And then, he gets into the Nightcrawler and starts shooting a bunch of people, and then he has a couple of like stupid lines, and he smiles and tells stupid jokes and things like that. Like, that was really, really frustrating. In this one, he doesn't shy away. He's the first one into battle, right? He doesn't tell everybody else, okay, go and do this, and I'll be over here kind of watching, which is what he did in 2017. I distinctly remember when they're in Russia, and he's just kind of hanging off the edge of the smokestack, watching everything going on down below. I remember that, yeah. And I'm like, dude,
get in there.
You're Batman. Get in the battle. But because of the way that they made him, he came across as so weak that, of course he wasn't going to get in a battle because he'd get destroyed. Whereas in this, time after time after time, he was the first one in here. In that battle at the end, that just the scene of when he's flying the troop carrier in there, and he has a plan to eject. He swings through, and how many parademons he takes on his own.
Yeah.
He's in there doing a whole bunch of different action moves. He's not shying away from anything.
No.
And then not only that, but there's one little like clip there where he's on that big cannon.
Yes.
That they have on the or one of the turrets, and Wonder Woman's down below, and he looks at her and he smiles because he knows that he's confident and he's gonna beat everybody else's ass here.
Yeah, of course.
We didn't get that in 2017.
No.
And I was so happy to see that because I was like, yes, this is what I wanted to see from Batman. I wanted to see this guy who, again, out of everybody there, is the only one that doesn't have actual superpowers.
Yeah, you need to amp him up a bit.
Being the first one into battle and actually holding his own. Now, again, he probably wouldn't necessarily be able to go toe-to-toe with Steppenwolf for a long period of time, or obviously Darkseid. But the fact that he didn't shy away, he got in there.
That's character.
It's character.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the biggest thing that I wanted to see. It wasn't necessarily that he had to, dominate in battle. It was the fact that he was true to who the character is in the comics, who we've seen for generations.
Batman doesn't shy away from anything.
He doesn't shy away.
Yeah.
He doesn't shy away. So that... Honestly, I love that. I was so happy to see that, and so that's why for me he's, it was close between I think those three, but that's why I think he just comes in third place behind the other two.
Okay. About Batman. So Batman I think was in the middle of my list, almost smack dab in the middle of my list, and he remains in the same spot for me. I think only because when they're taking on the parademons in that last hour, just a minor nitpick because I'm such a big Batman fan. One thing I liked was when Batman swung in, does the Batman roll with the outside of his hand, throws some explosive device at one of them, they disintegrate, and then he does something else and takes out another one. I like to see that Batman with the gadgets, right? I think in this one I saw him shooting too many people, and that threw me off a little bit, because I guess Batman with a gun is still something I need to reprogram my brain for. So I don't know. I thought maybe he could have exploding batarangs, or use his grapple gun more, or something more Batman-y than using turrets and guns. But I was fine with him because these are parademons, right? You're Batman, you don't have any powers, so that's fine. That was my one nitpick, but Batman remains in where he was for me, just because of that.
Same with me. I think I had him ranked number 3 as well, going into the movie, and he never changed. He's my 3rd as well.
Right. Okay, so all right, so let's get into your notes, bro.
Okay. So I have a few cons. Okay. They're not huge, and honestly, they don't really affect the movie too much, but I did notice them, and so I wanted to kind of bring them up. The first one was, and it's again at the beginning, or towards the beginning of the movie. Obviously, it's 4 hours long, so the beginning of the movie is the first half hour.
Yeah.
And let me preface this by saying I understand that Wonder Woman doesn't have a specific code or rule where she's not supposed to kill people. It's never been established. She is an Amazon, and she's incredibly powerful. Princess. That's exactly it. She's a warrior, so I mean, she's going to kill people. But when that scene where they're in the museum or the bank or whatever it is in London there, and it's that terrorist group, and so she has to go in and stop, and she ends up basically killing all of the members of that terrorist group. And up until she ends up killing the leader of that terrorist organization, I didn't really care all that much because she was literally just in the heat of battle. She had to stop them, get to that bomb, get rid of it. But then it goes and it shows her stopping all the bullets, deflecting all the bullets, and she's incredibly fast, right? So she clearly stops this terrorist leader from killing all of the people that are in this place. And then all it takes for her is to like run up, grab the gun, because she's quick. She'd be able to do it before he's able to kind of reload and start shooting again. But instead she uses the gauntlets to blow the guy up. and not only that, but destroy part of the building.
You know what? I didn't actually even think of it in that way. That was kind of OP.
It was OP, but I just thought it was kind of aggressive. Like in that case, I was like, okay, you already defeated the other guys. All you had to do was run up, and I feel like it would almost have been more powerful if she had just ran up, like grabbed the gun out of his hand, threw it away, and then just like put him down basically. But like, just to go out of your way and blow the guy up.
I think it's because this is the money shot.
No, and I totally get that. I totally understand that, but it came across as so aggressive, and I was like, again, it doesn't really take away from the movie. It was so peculiar to me. I'm like,
it raises the eyebrow.
Yeah, like why would you need to do? And then not only that, then she turns around to make sure that everybody's okay, and there's that little girl, and she's like, "Can I be like you when I grow up?" And I'm like,
bro, I was watching that and I was like, please lie to her. Please lie.
I was like, this is weird. It's just strange.
I was like, please tell her a lie. Don't tell this girl that you cannot do that, because that's the truth. You can't.
It was just weird. Like, can I be like you? Well, I mean, if you mean going and blowing people, like normal humans up for I don't know. It seems a little bit aggressive. So it was just weird. I mean, it didn't really take away from that scene, and we had already really seen it in the 2017 version, and I don't think much had really changed. Aside from we actually see her use the gauntlets and the destruction of that building. But other than that, it didn't really change too much. It was more of, I guess, a nitpick than anything else.
We need to talk about how Wonder Woman went significantly up in my rankings. I saw her be a beast in this movie. I mean, you know that I think there's that meme that says, let's not take on Steppenwolf alone. And then the next clip is her just doing battle with him alone.
Yeah.
Bro, she cut off his head.
Yeah.
She went toe to toe with him a few times. And like, he looked like he was struggling. And Steppenwolf kept like, he's kind of being a creep to Wonder Woman. Like, he kept singling her out and saying, so why did you leave your sisters with me when they couldn't defend themselves and all that kind of stuff? And she just go buck, bro. So Wonder Woman went significantly up in rankings for me. I was very impressed with Wonder Woman. Even in that scene where in the bank, you see the gun go to automatic. And you're just like, okay, you're going to stop all these bullets. But how are you going to stop all these bullets? And you just see her run across the...
like hostages.
Yeah, the line of hostages just... I was like, okay, this Wonder Woman stopping bullets in real time, I'm here for it. You know what I mean? So... Yeah, I just had to pause and give Wonder Woman some flowers because, like, she went up in rankings.
For me, she never changed in my rankings. Okay. I do think that overall, all of the characters did get more powerful. But that being said, she never left the ranking. Not to say that, like, I didn't appreciate her in the movie. She just stayed the same. Because I feel like the other characters had a little bit more ahead of her. Now she is, like I said in our preview, she was ahead of Aquaman for me, and she absolutely still is ahead of Aquaman. But yeah, she never really changed in my ranking. She's still kind of the same, even though again she was badass in quite a few
so
of the scenes. So
All right, so let's get back into it.
So another one of my cons was. Why wasn't Diana told about the original battle against Darkseid thousands of years ago? It was just weird that she had to find out on her own about this major battle. Like, how did the Amazons just forget that this happened and then be like, oh, by the way, now that you're, in the land of men, here's some clues to find out what Darkseid did. This character that we never told you, even though she knew basically everything else about all of the history of, you know, everybody, she never found out about potentially the greatest battle that was ever seen on planet Earth.
Yeah.
In the history of like people.
I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, and it was again, it didn't take away from the movie really.
No, almost none of these do.
Yeah, it was just weird to me. Like, why did she have to find out on her own? Like, why wouldn't she have been told? And that's why I think in the 2017 version, it was a little bit better because she didn't have to find out on her own. Like, she literally went to Bruce and said, "Here's the story. This is what happened." Now, again, that was changed to Steppenwolf attacking as opposed to Darkseid, so I did appreciate that it was actually Darkseid that was attacking. Yeah, so to go along with that too, because it is kind of connected, so again, we're told that the mother boxes are essentially the most powerful like pieces of like machinery or whatever in the universe, and they actually do say that the mother boxes are the most powerful things in the universe. Obviously, we find out later that the anti-life equation is probably way more powerful. But anyway, my questions about that were, how did like everybody somehow forget where they were, like which planet they were on? And the only reason why I asked that is because it was actually stated in the movie that Earth was the only battle that Darkseid ever lost.
I was wondering that too. How could you forget that?
How could you forget the only battle that you've ever lost? I know that obviously he's from Apocalypse. Apocalypse is technically in another universe, so it's the multiverse. And I get that maybe there's a story behind it's difficult to find your way back to specific universes.
That's a stretch, because if I'm Darkseid and if I've conquered how many other thousands of worlds, and there's this one that denied me,
you just conveniently forget, and then like, oh yeah, right, that's the place where they are. And not only that, but it's not just the mother boxes, but we find out that the anti-life equation is also on this planet, and like Darkseid was literally standing on it in the original battle, and then just conveniently forgets that, oh yeah, right, it's on that planet.
And how do none of his team pick that up? You know, like Desaad, Granny Goodness. How do they not pick that up?
Like it took Steppenwolf that long to sense that the mother boxes were on Earth, and then he finds that the anti-life equation through the mother boxes is also on Earth. It just, again, it doesn't really take away from the movie. It's again more of a nitpick, but either way, it was just weird to me. I was like, this just seems like kind of like a, I don't know, a thing that they probably should have addressed. Yeah.
No, I feel that, because when you say it like that, like, it really doesn't make any sense. If there's this one place that has denied me after so much success, I would remember.
You'd think.
You know?
But,
so, yeah.
Okay.
I feel that.
It is what it is. Again, it doesn't really take away from the movie. I still think that the overall plot and stuff was really strong. So
same.
It is what it is. I just was sitting there. I was like, those things seem weird.
It's one of those that just squeeze under.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe that's what it was, right? They had so much to put in that they just didn't really. Zack Snyder didn't really have that much time to explain those reasons. Whatever. It, again, like I said, doesn't really take away from the movie itself.
Of course.
Just a couple more like small nitpicky things, and it was just weird. Mira has a British accent.
I felt like that turned on and off. Did that turn on? Was I losing my mind?
No, so there were still a couple of scenes that they used with her in it in the 2017 version where she didn't have the British accent, and they used the same scenes in this one where she does. And I think maybe that's where you were kind of seeing that it was turned on and off, but no, I think she had it throughout this whole thing whenever she was on screen. And again, that's nitpicky. This movie was supposed to come out in 2017, so maybe if this version comes out then for Aquaman they end up using her with a British accent. So again, it's a nitpicky thing. It was just kind of weird knowing what we've seen and then going, oh, she never had this before. This is strange. Yeah. Whatever.
Amber Heard as Mara. She was fine as Mara, minus the Britishness. William Dafoe. Did he overact? Was he overacting?
I think so.
I think so too, because when this guy was talking to Aquaman, he's like, "Take up your mother's trident." I was like,
Chill.
"Why are you yelling, bro?" Like I'm just like, "Would you relax?"
Yeah. Just chill.
And then he just throws it down. I'm like, how frustrated are you?
Yeah.
And why?
Yeah.
You know what I
No,
mean?
I agree. You know what? That could have been too that he was only on screen twice throughout that entire movie.
True.
So maybe just to get the point across of maybe who he was or his importance in Atlantis, maybe that was the decision that they made. But yeah, I do agree in that scene. He was
overacting.
It was a little bit too much. Like, just relax. Nobody else has been yelling up to this point.
Yeah.
There's no reason for
and nobody else
to,
wants to try it.
Exactly.
Would you relax?
Yeah, just and then he like throws it at his feet. Like,
Yeah.
Relax. Just take it easy.
At that moment, I was like, okay, I don't blame Aquaman for leaving this scene right now.
Yeah, he's getting yelled at. But
Yeah, I dip too.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Jeez,
Like, stop yelling
this
at me, bro.
guy is really ridiculous.
Yeah, he's coming on strong.
I also said time, like I said earlier.
Yeah. It didn't have to be 4 hours.
4 hours, I think, is still a little bit too long. Now, the first time I watched it, I watched the full 4 hours straight.
Same.
And that did seem a little bit long. When I broke it up, the second time I watched it, I broke it up into like 2-hour segments. That was much more manageable.
Yeah.
I still do think that there were a couple of scenes here and there that probably just didn't really need to be in there. Again, they were minor things. So
One of those is when Bruce meets Aquaman and those ladies start singing.
Oh, yeah. That, like, again, that would have only taken about 15 seconds out of the movie.
Yeah, for sure.
It was weird. There was
It was just weird.
There was no explanation for it.
Yeah.
I like, why?
Like, I was watching it with my girlfriend, and I was telling her, I was like, all right, these people are strange.
Yeah.
You know, like, these people are just weird.
Yeah.
The people that live in this little hole in the ground are weird. Like, why are you singing?
Yeah.
We don't know what you're saying. Aquaman is gone. He can't hear you. You're sniffing his sweater.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. I had this running joke throughout the 4 hours.
Yeah.
I think from every single point Aquaman goes in the water, his shirt is just left there.
Yeah. How that's another one. Again, it's a nitpicky thing. It really doesn't
cool.
matter. But that was exactly it. So he saves the guy on the boat.
Yeah.
He's clearly got his shirt on.
Yeah.
He goes in, drinks the whiskey, and then for some reason has to take his shirt off, which is already soaking wet, to jump back in the water.
Bro, I'm telling you, through every single point Aquaman takes off, there's probably like 5 or 6 shirts just right there waiting for him.
Like, maybe, like, if he was doing it, for the people that were in those villages, like, hey, I'm leaving, some clothes for you. I'm donating my clothes to the Salvation Army or something. Then be like, okay. But there's just a lot of laundry he's leaving
There's
everywhere.
a lot of laundry, bro, and it probably smells like fish or alcohol or both.
And she picks it up and smells just like and then the weird song, and it was like, okay, stop, please.
Yeah,
this is weird.
That moment, I was like, okay, there's a lot happening here, and you guys are strange.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're weird.
Yeah.
Stop being weird.
Yeah, stop leaving your clothes everywhere.
And then one more con, and like I've already established, I really liked Batman in this movie. But there was one thing that was done better in the 2017 version with Batman than in this version, and I believe that everything that was done in Zack Snyder's Justice League outweighs this.
Oh yeah.
But Batman always has a backup plan, and he has a backup plan for his backup plan's backup plan, right?
Yeah.
He's that detective, and there's literally a series of comic books called Detective Batman. Like, so it just shows like his intelligence and how he's able to see 10 steps ahead of every decision that he makes. In 2017, it was done better in that he had more of a plan, right? And especially it was shown in the resurrection scene, where knowing that, hey, you know what, things could go sideways if we resurrect this guy and he's not the same as he was when he was alive. What happens if he sees all of us gets really intimidated and goes off, what do we do then? In 2017, his idea was, I'm going to go and get Lois Lane. Because I feel like if he sees Lois, again, if he decides to go sideways and start attacking us, if he sees Lois,
it's going to bring him back.
It'll bring him back. And it worked. In this movie, that's never established. I feel like he's so overcome with his guilt of, Superman dying and him basically going after him in BVS, that he's not thinking clearly like that, and he never actually thinks, okay, what happens if we bring him back and things go sideways? What do we do?
Yeah.
He's literally just going, okay, let's bring him back, let's bring him back, let's bring him back. And it is established by Alfred when he basically tells him your emotions are getting in the way of your decisions here. And he's like, no, I'm going on faith. Okay, but Batman doesn't go on faith.
Ever.
Batman goes on logic and reasoning. And that was the one thing that I kind of had an issue with in this one that was better in 2017 is you saw his logic, you saw his reasoning behind his decisions, and in this one, he's just going on faith. But, like I said, everything that we saw in this version vastly outweighs that. And again, it's not a huge deal. It's not like it takes away really from the movie all that much. It was just one thing that was noticeable upon my second viewing of this movie. I went, oh, that's peculiar. Yeah, you know what? It would have been better to kind of see both of those things, both of those attributes together as one, because again, Batman is that detective. He has his contingency plans and all of that stuff, and it just seemed like he kind of threw caution to the wind in this version and did his thing. So.
See, the only thing I can say to that is that he is two words. Is when he says, Alfred, for once, I'm operating on faith. And that portrays that he usually isn't. Right? And that kind of excused that for me. But then there's only so far you could push that with the character you're dealing with, right?
Well, and I guess if you compare it to BVS, where he was going off of logic or what he thought was logic, and it turned out to be flawed, I guess I can understand why he's had this kind of change in mentality. Like, okay, you know what? It was against my better judgment. I did these things. Last year, whenever Batman v Superman took place in the timeline, and look what happened. Okay, now you know what? I wholeheartedly believe that we need Superman. I'm going to go and do these things, and hopefully it works out. So I do understand that. It's just seeing that, I was like, okay, that cool. Is something that, I would have liked to have seen just a more well-rounded, Batman, where he has both the intelligence and the contingencies, the backups, as well as the fact that, again, he's incredibly confident and will be the first into battle because that's who he is. But again, like I said, it didn't really take away from the movie. It's just something I noticed.
So, I feel you. Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
So, pros?
Pros.
Do you have any pros?
Oh,
of course you have pros.
I have a few pros.
Sweet.
Steppenwolf was much better in this movie.
Yes.
He was much stronger.
The way he took out those Amazons.
Yeah.
The way he took out the Atlanteans.
Again, it's a small little scene, but he literally grabs the rope and throws a horse at some of the Amazons.
This guy bodied a horse.
Yeah, he bodied the horse, and then he whips it around and throws it at them. And just even that, I was like, okay, he's a lot stronger. Again, he still has the parademons, his minions, go and find the other mother boxes for him, but when he shows up,
it's more menacing, I think.
he's way more menacing, and especially in the last scene there where he's battling the Justice League, when his eyes start glowing blue, and he's still pretty menacing there. But again, I was a lot happier to see how much more formidable he was in this movie, and the fact that he had a reason for what he was doing.
That is huge, and that is one of the things I'd like to focus on, because I think we said this in the preview. Steppenwolf, I needed to see a reason for what he was doing. And when you see that he wanted, like you said in the preview, he wanted to redeem himself for some shit that he did before, right? And then you see who he wants to redeem himself to, right? That's how you say. Yeah, then you see who he wants to redeem himself to. You see Desaad, who is pretty much like Randall from Recess for Darkseid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's kind of like the snitch for Darkseid. He's kind of like the right-hand person. So he's telling Desaad, like, yo, I know where the anti-life equation is. I've almost got all the mother boxes. Can I please talk to Darkseid and tell him
I'm doing this for him.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you see who Darkseid is, and when he comes through, oh my god. At that moment, when he comes through that like metally molten thing and talks to Steppenwolf, I was like, bro, I would be doing my damnedest to impress this guy too, because look at him. Bro, Darkseid looks like a killer.
Yeah, well, and for everything that was said in there, right? Like Desaad, when Steppenwolf goes, you know, this world will fall, and Desaad basically says, well, you still owe, you still owe Darkseid like 50,000 more worlds or something like that. It just shows like, wow, like this guy really is trying his best to get into Darkseid's good graces, and that's the reason why he's doing all of this. And can I point out too, the CGI in this movie is so much more superior in every way. It's so much better. But especially in the facial expressions of Steppenwolf, because you can see. Not only does he fear Darkseid, but like you can see that he's trying to make amends, and you see that in his eye, you see that in his facial expressions. You never got that in 2017. No. He was stoic, and I'm here to control everybody and bow down to me, and mother.
It didn't make any sense.
No, it made no sense. So he was menacing, but at the same time, he was menacing because he had to own up to the mistakes that he made in the past. He's trying to get back into Darkseid's good graces. So that was, again, so much better. And you understand, okay, yes, you know what, this guy is he's going to stop at nothing because he wants to get back into his, Darkseid's good graces. So he is going to be formidable. We never got that in 2017, and it never mattered. He was just power hungry, and I'm here, I'm going to destroy you, and that's it.
And I also wanted to see, like, when this guy does collect all 3 mother boxes, or as he does collect these mother boxes, like, what is the reaction from Desaad? Like, is there going to be a reaction to Darkseid? Well, saying, I mean, it's against Darkseid's character, but do they say something like, well done? Or do they say, oh, you only got one more? Okay, you're actually doing well. Like, I wanted to see, like, their response to him progressing to his goal. Right? So, and I loved what I got, because when he gets the second mother box and talks to Desaad, he's like, I've already collected 2 mother boxes. Desaad's not even impressed, because he's failed already, right? So he's not even impressed. He's just like, all right. Basically, he's like, call us when you get the 3rd one. And he's like,
yeah, that's exactly it,
you
right?
know what I mean?
Like nothing was good enough. Even though, as I guess a regular person, you're seeing that and going, wow, like this guy's pretty powerful, and he's doing like we've established that the mother boxes are apparently the most powerful things in the universe. And yet, even when he's collecting them, even when he has all 3, even then, Darkseid's like, I don't care. Like, this means nothing to me.
You still have to conquer the world.
Yeah, you still have to not only that, but like conquer other worlds for me.
Like his Darkseid's ask is just ridiculous.
Yes. So it was just so much better.
And the thing is, to know that Steppenwolf is going to fail, but still be interested in how he fails, that's a well done by Zack Snyder, man. I think.
Well, and then again, right at the end there. Well, not right at the end, because obviously there's still the nightmare sequence and all that, at the end, or the epilogue, if you will. But when he goes back through the boom tube there.
Oh, yes.
And Darkseid literally steps on his head and crushes his head.
No remorse.
No remorse.
Does
or anything.
not care at all.
And then Desaad goes, "I told you he would fail." like that's insane to me. You know, they're like, that's how dark and sinister that they are. That, you know, one of Darkseid's, you know, minions, Steppenwolf, and crushes his head and doesn't care.
Bro, I saw a meme that said Desaad is the kind of dude to remind the teacher of the homework.
It's true, right? It's true.
Like,
yeah, he is. Yeah,
that asshole.
Don't we have Didn't we have homework? Oh, why'd you bring that up?
I told you he'd fail. Like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But you know what? I loved it. I was for
Me too.
it. So
me too.
Another one of my pros, and because I didn't really talk about it when we got to the rankings of the characters, but Superman, even though I had him ranked 4th after watching this movie, where I had him ranked 1st in like the preview, just his arc.
Oh yes.
And again, he's not in this movie for long.
No.
But all of the scenes that we get him in this movie,
Premium Superman.
And that's exactly it. You see, okay, you know what? There's his so he's reborn. And I still love the fact that like the resurrection scene where he fights all of them is still and they're like pieces were added to it, which makes it even better, right?
Oh yeah.
Like the fact that, you know, so they have the original, you know, where Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Cyborg are trying to hold him off, and Flash starts running, and then, you know, you see the eyes move, and so we still got that. But then, you know, Batman, who's now on the other side of like that monument or whatever, and Clark sees him, he turns his. We never got that in the original version, and you're like, oh boy, but it was more menacing than the original, right? Yeah. Where he just flies over and he's like, "Tell me, do you bleed?"
He walks to him.
Yeah, he starts walking, and then everybody starts trying to. Again, Flash runs in.
This guy sidesteps.
He sidesteps him and pushes him into Aquaman.
Yeah, he's just like, whoa.
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah.
I was like, yo, we saw how fast the Flash is. This guy just moved out of the way. Just quick sidestep.
Yeah.
All right, you're done.
Yeah.
I'm going that way.
Yeah. So we got, again, those little added pieces, and then instead of picking him up and then conveniently, forgetting to take out his British accent from like the line, because in 2017 he very clearly still has a British accent when he says, "Tell me, do you bleed?" Like. Did they not pick up on the fact that he was still had that accent? Did Joss Whedon just go, "Yeah, that's it, cut, paste, let's get it out"?
I'm telling you, that's how it
went. And so instead, there's very little dialogue, which I loved even more, because now it's just a stare down between him and Batman, and he knows that Batman in BVS was against him. That's all he remembers.
That's all he
doesn't remember that, you know, Batman changed, and no, he remembers this guy was trying to take me down.
Yeah.
And he doesn't say anything. There's no real dialogue other than Batman when he's standing below him going, "Clark, no, you have to save everybody." And then Clark uses his lasers on his gauntlets and stuff like that. I was like, damn.
Yeah,
that was even awesome. Those little added parts were so much better. But,
I love the no dialogue.
Yeah. But and then you get into when he shows up at the end. When he shows up and steps in between Steppenwolf and Cyborg, and or Steppenwolf's axe hits him and does nothing, and he just looks at him and goes, "Not impressed." I was like,
bro, he lets the axe hit him.
Not impressed, and that's all he had to say. And I went, "Oh, okay, yeah."
We saw everything in that moment. We saw strength. And we saw the freeze breath.
Yeah.
And then we saw super speed when he dodges his like 7-finger claw.
Yeah.
Like, bro. Superman
the everything. He does the whole like, this is Sparta.
Yeah, kicks him
in the like God. He goes and not only that, but like he is so confident about himself, and that's where I think the completion of the arc was again, we saw him in Man of Steel. He was still, again, learning who he was. Batman v Superman, he was being vilified by a lot of people through the news and all that. And obviously, Batman still saw him as an enemy as opposed to somebody that was here. And then finally, we saw him. And this was, I would say, the closest that we've got to that super confident, like, Superman.
You're right.
Where he is completely sure of himself.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid of anything anymore.
He's not holding back.
And he's not holding back. And so when I saw that scene at the end there, and just even the axe, I was like, okay, yeah, you're strong and you know what you're doing. I thought about how a lot of people have had issues with Zack Snyder's version of Superman up to this point. You know, they've said, oh, he's too dark. Oh, he doesn't, you know, he's not as confident as we've seen him in, you know, the comics, or he's not like the typical Superman that we've seen in the past. And even up until then, I've liked his story lines or story arc. But I'm wondering, just from this small sample size of seeing him all powerful, all confident, being almost like that traditional Superman that, you know, was around for decades, will the people that didn't necessarily appreciate who he was in the first two movies, do you think that retroactively their opinions will change? Now they'll go back and go, okay, you know what? I understand now that he had to be the way that he was in those first two movies in order to get to the point that he's at
It's
now.
a build-up.
Exactly.
It's a build-up.
And I feel like a lot of people now will see that and appreciate it more, and maybe go back and look at Man of Steel and look at BVS in a different way and go, okay, you know what? I understand it. We needed to see how in Man of Steel he was unsure of himself. He was literally only Superman for a day.
Yeah, like, he didn't know how to use all
didn't know. Yeah, he had literally just learned how to fly, and then all of a sudden Zod comes to Earth, and you know, and he's got to defend the planet.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you know what? It's totally understandable that he didn't know what he was doing, and he didn't have faith in what he was doing, but he did his best, and yeah, he may have, you know, destroyed a lot, but he was just doing what he could.
Yeah.
I feel like this kind of shows, hey, you know what? It was that arc. We needed to get here, but because we're here now, all of the past pays off.
Yeah, and I hope people look at it like that, because Man of Steel is a masterpiece. BVS, I don't care what anybody says, I loved it. And to see him get to this place of confidence now is such a rewarding payoff for me. And I know that in the next Justice League, that like if we get it, or if Zack Snyder gets to finish 2 and 3, like we'll see a Superman take another turn. And anyways, let's talk. Do you have any more pros? Because I wanted to talk about, after the pros, we were going to talk about if Zack Snyder gets to finish this thing.
So, I mean, we can go into this pro that I have right here. Will lead into that discussion. So, it's again another continuation of the nightmare scene, where it's the destruction of the planet, and now obviously Superman is evil, and
that's some scary shit.
And you know, Batman is leading this ragtag group of whoever's left.
Yeah, it's like the Resistance.
The Resistance, like, you know things have gone bad when you've got Deathstroke,
Joker.
and Joker on your team to yeah, exactly.
What? This team is so weird.
It is.
Flash, Deathstroke, Mera, Joker, Cyborg, Batman. And it's them versus Superman and Darkseid and the rest of... You guys are fucked.
Yeah.
You guys are screwed, man.
But again, it's another... And I liked the scene in BVS. And I love this scene now, and it makes me hope for more Zack Snyder Justice Leagues Part 2 and Part 3.
Yeah.
Because I want this scene to pay off. Because it extends the storyline, and that dialogue between Joker and Batman.
Oh yes.
Like we've seen. I still contend that Heath Ledger's Joker to me is still the best. And you know what? As you know, obviously a solo movie, Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. Yeah. I think his storyline was good, but Heath Ledger's Joker was still
the greatest for now.
The best.
Yeah.
And again, you know, The Dark Knight is a tough movie to beat.
Yeah.
But I think that this not only was a kind of a reprieve for Jared Leto's Joker, like far more sinister.
Oh yeah.
But just again, that dialogue, I need to see where that goes, where it's been, right? Because they talk about what happened. You know, Batman talks about how Harley Quinn, you know, was dying in his arms and stuff like that.
But that's only after Joker brings up
Robin. And don't send a boy wonder to do an adult to do a man's job.
Yeah, and that was just after Mara asked Batman if he has ever lost anyone.
Yeah,
Joker just comes into the conversation laughing, and I'm like, oh no, I know exactly what he's about to bring up.
But that again, that dialogue, back and forth, and. Even when Batman threatens him, I will fucking kill you, and then takes the card, and Joker's shaking, and so you think that he's scared, and then all of a sudden he snaps to, and he's like, "Ha! You almost got me."
Yeah, he's like, "You're good.
You're good." But then again, you see all of like the police badges
on his chest.
So obviously he's either, whether or not they were just killed in the line of duty, or he's straight up killed them.
I think he killed them. You're talking about Joker.
Man, like we absolutely need that sequence, both of the two nightmare sequences to pay off, because you can't just have that and not, you know, see where it goes, where it's been. And
I love the look of him, man.
Yeah.
With the long hair. Oh my god, with the black underneath and the green like just coming through. Oh my god.
And not to mention, he doesn't have the stupid damage tattoo across his forehead like he does in Suicide Squad.
I noticed. That was a little too on the nose.
It really was.
I'm like, you're Joker.
Yeah.
We all know you're
damaged. But like, and then again, I love too, because it is true. Batman doesn't ever, like, he doesn't kill Joker because he knows that he does need him in a way, as demented as it is.
Yes.
And Joker says in this, "You wouldn't kill me, you'd need me."
Who's gonna give you a reach around?
Yeah. Like, what?
I was like, yo, Batman is pissed. He's serious right now.
Yeah.
And this guy's like, who's gonna give you a reach around? I'm like,
this
is Joker.
Exactly.
I'm like, this is brilliant.
Yeah. It was so good.
I loved it.
And then just to kind of backtrack a little bit, but the sequence at the end where we get Lex Luthor talking to Deathstroke.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that stupid 2017 version where it's like, they have their Justice League. Why don't we create a league of our own? It was so brutal. In this one, it's, I have some information for you about Batman. His name is Bruce Wayne.
That is a reason to celebrate.
Again, it wasn't really, you know, I don't think that scene was needed in either movie, to be quite honest. I think it was just kind of a toss in, like, oh yeah, remember Lex Luthor is here and he's doing this thing. But this one was much better, and it does help the nightmare scenario, because obviously then you see Deathstroke is fighting alongside, and you're like, wait a second, hold on. So first he was trying to take out Batman. Yeah. But in this sequence, they're working together. So
it makes you wonder what happened in between there.
Yeah, so it does work for that. So yeah, that's we need we need more movies.
For
we need
sure.
more movies because we can't just end.
It can't,
on that.
right?
Yeah.
Like it can't. Like we said before, this movie can't be bad. We knew it, right? In the same way, it can't not have a sequel.
No.
It can't not. With this much exposure, with this much attention, with these many fans wanting to see this thing, bro, fans were willing. What, it was just behind Wonder Woman 84?
Yeah, like a few months or something like that.
Bro, no, I'm talking in terms of it was just behind Wonder Woman 84 in terms of how much it made.
Oh yeah. Well, in terms of like ratings, how many people viewed? Yeah. It was
Right,
like
you're
two-
talking about a 4-hour movie,
Yeah.
and it was comparable with Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
That just can't, like, why aren't we getting this? I don't want Warner Brothers to keep ruining things that are already good, but I have a feeling they will,
Yeah.
and that's a sad thing for me. Okay, so out of 10, Justice League, 10 being awesome.
Yes, it's not a 10.
No.
Man of Steel for me is a 10, and
Okay.
it's going to be very, very, very difficult for that to ever be beat.
Yeah.
Upon first viewing, I gave it a 7.8 out of 10.
Okay.
So still like really good, but I was I needed that second viewing where I broke it up and watched it again.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably now. I would say like an 8.3
Yeah.
out of 10 for me. So again, better, but you know, it's tough to compare to Man of Steel for me.
It's
So
so difficult. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so I at first watching it gave it an 8, and I upon second viewing I watched it through both times. Didn't even take any breaks. I gotta say it's an 8.5, man. Solid 8.5. There's too many good moments in this for me to just put it any lower than that. If I had to pick favorite parts, like favorite parts, I think number 1 is Flash reversing time.
oh, easily. That's
Like,
absolutely
it had-
my number one.
That has to be like, I get goosebumps just thinking about it.
And let's point out like the score, the music
Yes.
for it.
Yes, so
Like
good.
if that's his theme,
Yeah,
like-
I'm with it. I'm with it, bro. Like, I liked his little monologue, how he was talking to himself.
yeah.
I liked
Create your own future, create your own
Create
past.
your own
It's
past.
all right now.
It's all right. Oh my god, when he said that, I got shivers.
Oh.
I got shivers. And then he finally touches Cyborg, and then he goes into the mother box. Oh my god. All that was done brilliantly.
Yeah.
And even how Cyborg, when he said, "I'm not broken and I'm not alone," and the mother boxes were represented by his family, and he's
They were
like,
trying to
"You could
manipulate."
keep him all together," and I was like, "This is some deep shit, bro." This guy has to ignore all that and just get the job done,
Yeah.
and he did. I think from the time Flash started the Speed Force to the very end of Cyborg, like, ripping apart the mother boxes, that has to be my favorite part.
Yeah.
But second favorite part has to be explaining Cyborg's powers. Can you imagine if somebody like Cyborg existed? With a thought, this guy can know that. Why are you checking out my Instagram? Are you kidding me? With a thought, end the world with nuclear strikes. Like, he is incredibly powerful, and he got done so dirty. And I'm so glad that he got his time in the sun. So, time in the sun.
Yep.
Superman reference.
Yes, it is.
All right, top 2 favorite parts before we go.
That one, I think honestly, it's probably the same for me.
Yeah.
Number 1 was Flash going back in time using the Speed Force to. Just the whole thing is like, when I think of that movie now, that's literally what I think of.
Yeah.
And I'm just, and You know what, too? Because it's they put both of those scenes together of Flash going back in time and Cyborg, in the Unity talking to.
Yes.
I really need to see those two in a movie together,
Yes.
another movie together, and it sucks because it sounds like Cyborg was supposed to be in the upcoming Flash, and then because of everything that's gone on with WB, he backed out because he doesn't want to be a part of that. And I believe that WB has to do everything that they can to apologize to Ray Fisher and make it right. Because I feel like he could be an integral part in that Flash movie, and especially if that Flash movie is supposed to be like a Flashpoint story.
Like a reset.
Cyborg has to be in that movie. That's
important.
He's important. So WB absolutely has to make this right and do whatever they can to apologize to Ray Fisher, and make sure that he knows that not only is he valued, but he's an integral part of this universe. So those are my again 2 favorite scenes, as well as I just honestly it's a small one, but Steppenwolf's axe on Superman's shoulder, and he goes, "Not impressed," and I was like, okay, cool,
sign me up,
cool, that's it. So those, and they all happen towards the end, but that's fine with me.
Okay,
so those were mine.
Okay, word. Good review.
Yes.
All right, guys. Jay Gassy, the channel. I hope you enjoyed this review. That's Jordan. I'm Jamal. Jordan's going to be back for another, movie event whenever we have it. Maybe Mortal Kombat. Maybe King Kong. Or Godzilla vs. Kong. Who knows? But he's here for those. Okay? So, Jay Gassy, the channel. Like, share, subscribe. See y'all later. Peace.